Welcome to episode 10 of Author Talk. Today I'm interviewing Patricia Miller, the multi-genre and multiple award-winning author of the Joshua sci-fi trilogy, the 4-volume series Mysterious Tales of the Unexplained, and the children's picture book It's Okay to Have Feelings, a Peyton's Place adventure. Patricia's exceptional skill as a writer has been recognized by numerous award contests, such as the Purple Dragonfly Book Awards, the London Book Festival, the Next Generation Indie Book Awards, the Story Monsters Book Awards, the Next Generation Short Story Awards competition, and the American Best Book Competition Awards. You can find Patricia at many book festivals and author events throughout the course of each year. She is often asked to speak at these events and generously uses her platform to encourage other writers in their endeavors. I know you'll enjoy getting to know this talented and multifaceted author. So let's welcome Patricia. So welcome, Patricia. How are you today?
Very good. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you for joining me, and I'm sure our viewers are going to enjoy getting to know you. So to begin, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, your family, your career, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I was born and raised in the little town of Dover, Ohio. I went to a private school for 12 years and very small classes, a lot of individual attention, which I think was good for
great.
me, for me especially. It was the right choice. My house that I grew up in was a very lively house. There was lots of laughter, there was lots of music, and there was lots of puzzles and learning and discussions. And I think that's probably the beginning of where my mystery love came, from solving puzzles. And I don't mean just like puzzle books or jigsaw puzzles. I mean, like read this story and then solve it. Like, how did it happen? That kind of thing. And going to school in a private school, it meant that all my tests were essays. No true and false, no multiple choice. I was totally ill prepared for college for those.
Wow. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, all essays. I can't remember any tests. I mean, maybe there was one or two, and they prepared us for the standardized tests, of course.
Yes.
But it was mostly essays, so you really had to know your stuff. And there was also literature classes, and there was a little bit, they spent a little bit of time on writing and how to write poetry. Not a lot, but since you're in a smaller school with smaller classes, there's more time to do more. So I got a little bit there. But I think that my whole love of learning and the mysteries and, just figuring clever things out came from my home life. And then,
that's so neat.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, Debbie, I didn't even think about that until I was considering the questions that you were going to ask. And I was thinking about my home life, and I thought, wow, I've really missed the mark on that. Because, there's lots of laughter. There were clever comebacks. There were, the music was constant.
I love that.
Yeah, it was a good start. It really was. And,
sounds like an idyllic childhood.
Yeah, in some ways. Later on, when we talk about my children's book, I'll share a little bit about a part that was a struggle, but, and we all have struggles, but,
right.
I think that how you start things out really does make a big difference. I've studied human development in college, so I've come to the aware of how early experiences really do play a huge factor.
Affect you.
Yeah, they really do. It doesn't have to be the ending or how your life goes. There can be changes, but it definitely does start you out in a certain way.
Right.
So when I was a teenager, I fell into the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Trixie Bell, and all those typical things. Before I went to college, I knew of Agatha Christie, but I did not really know Agatha Christie. It was more maybe Sherlock Holmes, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think anything I read was also shaped by some TV programs like Alfred Hitchcock, Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
and I'll tell you right now, Star Trek was a huge one. It was a
Oh,
huge.
you're a Trekkie.
Oh yeah, for sure. In fact, it's kind of funny when I look back at my memories, I can remember my brother used to fight, and he would actually go so far as to sit on you to make sure that he had the remote and we're going to watch Star Trek. And what was kind of funny was that we had that banter and we had that fun. And at one point I didn't care anymore because I liked it, but it was just fun to fight. So
Yeah,
we,
right,
we
right.
just tussled as it's fun. But my brother had an especially big impact on my life. He had an eidetic memory. He had to never study. He would read a
Oh,
book and
wow.
he would read a book once, he'd throw it at you and he'd say, ask me anything. And you'd just flop open a page and he would know it.
That is
And
amazing.
it is. And I didn't look at it as a challenge because I knew I didn't have that same capability. I looked at him as a resource, like to learn a lot from.
That
And and my mother as well. My mom was very smart. My sister was really good in school. But I need to tell you that because this is pretty important that my brother was 10 years older and my sister eight and a
Oh,
half. So yeah, there was quite a huge age difference, which made our upbringings quite different, of
very
course.
different. Yeah. So you were the youngest then.
Yeah, I was the baby.
Yeah.
And so when I went off to college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I either wanted to go into psychology or I wanted to go into special education. I figured that out pretty quickly because I was skipping my education classes and I was
Uh,
on the third floor of Bierce Library at Akron University reading Freud. So figured that out pretty
that
quickly.
was that was your indicator.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, and as far as like how writing falls into, from some of my electives, I took a few basic writing things, nothing real. I didn't get a degree, so I don't have that behind me. But I did take a few, and I've always had a love for literature, always. I mean, in high school,
Hmm.
everybody hated Shakespeare. I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Um, so then I went through college and I got a psychology degree and
Hmm.
I had decided I was going on. But I took a year off to work. My dad, it was his way of making sure I went back. He said, you won't go back. So that's how he
It
made
was
sure
a challenge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but I
The
knew,
reverse psychology.
yeah, and he didn't even know it. But, so I went back. I got my master's from Walsh University in counseling and human development.
Hmm.
And so for years I had to read what I was told to read. So I kind of lost that love for reading because
Okay.
it wasn't what I wanted to read. And then when I got out, I got married while I was in my master's, had my first child towards the end. And when I got out and kind of settled down with my first kid, I realized, hey, I could read again. So, yeah. And all of a sudden I
You
was
have,
like, I can read what I want to read.
hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is when I devoured everything Agatha Christie. And I went
Okay.
into some James Patterson, Philip Craig, Sheila Conley. And I know those are old ones. I have another
We like
favorite.
the old ones.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm an old soul, I think.
Yes. Same
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
So is that then the first thing that drew you to writing? That having that period of time where you could just devour those books? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
okay? So that
for sure,
was
for
kind of
sure.
the birth of that.
It really was. I mean, I did before I wrote any actual stories, I wrote some articles for the local bargain hunter. So
Okay.
I loved the word. I loved, putting words together and creating something, but it just never occurred to me that I might write a whole book. It's never occurred to me. And you're right. When I was reading, I started thinking, oh, like it could have gone this way or it could have gone that way.
Uh-huh.
And then I started saying, well, then why don't you do that?
So
You
it
know?
was at that point. So what age was that for you then?
Oh, it was, let's see, I had Chris when I was 24. So I'd say probably going on 30, to be honest
Okay.
with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I didn't actually sit down it was like 2005 when I started writing some short stories. So I was like 36 when I started writing, and I didn't actually publish anything till I was 50. So,
Well, the first series I did for the channel was authors who began writing when they were older, and one of them was in his 70s.
no.
And so you're saying like 50 before you publish, but we made
Hmm.
the point that you have so much more life experience
Yes.
and all that to bring to your writing at that age. So I actually think it's a huge benefit for many people.
I do as well. I do as well. And like, I think that, part of like what I learned in those early years of writing essays was you had to be accurate, you had to be detailed. And
Mm-hmm.
I got kind of got bored with writing the essays. A lot of the kids hated it, but I kind of got bored with it. So I started like looking at, okay, well, I can't use that word twice. I use that. So I kind of early on, I started like making them more creative and
Mm-hmm.
did not even realize I was doing it. So I didn't really think about that until I considered your questions.
Right. When you were talking about that with the essays, I had that exact thought that that was early preparation for a career you didn't even realize was going to exist in your life.
Correct.
But that's so
Yeah.
neat how our life experiences line up sometimes like that.
Right.
You
Right.
just have no idea.
Right.
So you talked about Agatha Christie, and I'm a huge fan of Agatha Christie too. And I follow your author account on Facebook, and I've seen your multiple references to her.
Uh-huh.
And if you love mysteries, for those of you who are watching and you have not discovered Agatha Christie yet, because we probably have some younger viewers,
Yeah,
you need to dive in.
absolutely.
She is the queen of mystery writing. And have you
And
ever heard of Dorothy Sayers?
yeah, yeah, I've read a few.
Okay.
Can't remember
I
them, but I do remember
I love
read them.
Dorothy Sayers as
Yeah.
well, and she was a peer of Agatha Christie. So
Right. Right.
so one of the questions I had then, because I've read a couple volumes of your Mysterious Tales of the Unexplained, and that's like woo title, right? And there are 4 volumes, and I wondered as I was reading it, was Agatha Christie the inspiration for writing those
Absolutely.
mysteries?
Absolutely, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay.
So the kind of person that I was brought up to be, when you're going to do something, you're going to do something right. I
Mm-hmm.
was it was the really strong work ethic was instilled. I had older parents, so I got all the older values and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hated it at the time because I had to come in earlier than all my friends. But I looked back and realized what the benefit was that I got
Huge
from it.
benefit.
Huge benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I actually started doing was after I enjoyed everything that Agatha had written, I started dissecting and looking at the formula and
Ah,
looking at the
okay.
process that she went through. And a couple of her stories definitely changed in terms of the formula, which makes her all the better of a writer. But I really started like learning from what she did. So I got away from, I had already enjoyed all of the plots and all the characters, and I
Mm-hmm.
started looking at it from a writer's standpoint and learning from that. And then I
That's
also went
excellent.
yeah, I also went to conferences where I had a chance to get some writing in services and some expertise and uh, of course books on writing.
Yeah.
You know,
S- That was really smart of you to do that, to like take apart the formula because she's so successful. That was really, really wise of you.
that
So
was
tell
yeah.
us, kind of give us a synopsis of that series, and then if you could hold up one of the books in the series after you give us a synopsis.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, um, I will tell you a little bit about how it was actually born. So my son was playing on a 12 and under baseball team. And I was at practices and I was sitting in the stands and I was already writing short stories. And I
Okay.
was actually writing the main story for volume 1, which actually is more of a novella. The first one was a novella with 3 short stories, and then the rest of them are 4 short stories. But there was another parent there, and she says, Patty, what you doing? And I told her, and she goes, oh, that's fun. And we got to talking, and she started talking about drawing, and I said, no, I can't draw to save my life.
Me either.
No. And she said, my son is good at drawing. And I said, he is. And so I got to thinking, and I was like, wouldn't that be cool to involve kids? So I asked her if she thought he would be interested in taking a shot at some sketches for me. And I told him about the book and the characters and what I was looking for. And when I met with him, he said, I can kind of draw. His is the front cover, which I know
that's kind of draw, huh?
That's kind of drawing. The shading is just incredible. Age 12.
That's amazing.
Age 12.
Oh, only 12.
Age 12. Yeah. He was on the team with my son.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I held on to that, and I held on to the stories for years.
Okay.
Years. Because, this actually didn't come out to actually look to be sure. It came out in 2019. So you think about that, in 2005 is when I was writing a bunch of stories and literally sticking them in a drawer, because I'm very much like, I print everything out. I'm old school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting better. I'm doing my editing on my computer, so I'm getting better. But so that's how that was born. And when I went to do the second, because I got good response to it, when I went to do the second one, it just occurred to me, why don't I continue to have kids involved? So I'm so excited that the kids they look forward to it. They can't wait till I do the call for submissions. And now they're fully illustrated all the way through, not just the covers.
Well, having read a couple of them and obviously seeing the illustrations and the covers, I've wondered how that got started. So that's neat to know the background and involve your community. I'm sure
yes,
they love that.
The art teachers, especially at New Philadelphia High. I'm not sure. I mean, she's a phenomenal teacher. She gets her kids involved in as many things as she can, community wise. So, and it's a win-win. They get a picture in a book, and their sketches bring my stories to life. So
I'm sure that's very validating for them. The art teacher is probably sitting there, come on, Patricia. We need another volume for these young artists.
Yeah, volume 5 was supposed to come out last year. And because of some family unexpected stuff come up, it did not. And so there's some more stuff coming up. So that's kind of hindering me. So I've decided that I actually have to get these out this year. So I've got all the sketches for 5.
Good.
I've just got to really just, flesh everything out and put it all, get it exactly, because I have several rounds of editing. I'm like that artist that won't stop, touching the painting.
Yeah, same here. I've had to learn to walk away. It's just you could go on forever with editing.
Yeah. So all of the stories and the mysteries are they're just whodunits. And they're based on, I make sure that I give you all the clues. Of course, there's a lot of red herrings. And I make sure at the end that you know who did it, because that's frustrating if you're left hanging like that. So that's
tell the people watching the main character. She's a young woman.
Kelsey Raymond. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a teen, and she's an especially bright and clever teen. She has a boyfriend, Max, and it's kind of cool the way that their relationship has evolved throughout the volumes. Because that would be in 3, I believe it was number 3. Yeah. He actually decides he's going to solve something without her. So they go 2 different directions because he wants to prove he's as good as her. So, So I've been told that she's a lot like a modern day Nancy Drew, is what some of the reviewers have said.
She reminds me of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's very outspoken. She's very brave. She I think she cares about Max, but she cares more about solving things,
Yeah.
especially early in their relationship. As they get along, as it goes along, there's definitely more happening in the relationship. But my marketer, she reads every book before she markets, which is super cool. And she writes for a company, or for a traditional publishing company. And she said that she would like to see me age Kelsey into her
Uh,
20s and do a cozy mystery series. So that has started. I have started writing. I've got like 4 different things happening at the same time in terms of projects.
that would be so cool.
Yeah. So I thought,
That would be really,
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. So
yeah, because I believe in volume 4, she was 22, correct?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm making her a little bit older in her 20s. She's going to be getting out on her own, away from her parents. And
Okay.
yeah, she's going to be, she's running a cozy cottage type Airbnb type thing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's a great setting.
so it's going to be a Kelsey Raymond cozy cottage series.
Oh, that is awesome.
So that's
And
fourth. That's third in line.
a third in line on the list. And cozies are so popular now. So I think you'll have a huge audience for that.
Yeah.
So I also want to ask you, sorry for the horn in the background. You've written a young adult sci-fi trilogy,
Yeah.
and it actually places a finalist in the Next Generation Indie Book Competition.
Yeah.
So tell us about that trilogy. What was the inspiration for a sci-fi young adult trilogy?
You probably already figured it out when we talked about Star Trek, but
Oh, that's true.
yeah, but I would never have written a sci-fi. I would never have written. So I was reading books on writing, and I think it was Stephen King's book on writing. I think it's actually called On Writing. Anyways, and one of the things that I learned from that was that you always keep a pad and a pencil beside your bed. And so I did that. Now, I don't know, like maybe did I eat too much pizza or something? I don't know, but I had a it was crazy. I was sweating, and I woke up, and my husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" Because when I first woke up and sat up, I was still kind of in the dream. And it was a battle scene. So thank God I knew it was him and not.
Not some alien.
Yeah, but in the dream, I knew, because they all look like humans. They all look like Earthlings. But I knew who was an alien and who wasn't. So I had the characters. It was just incredible. So I had the characters, and I started feverishly writing it all down in the middle of the night. And then I had to calm myself down, get back to sleep. And the next morning I pulled it out. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I got to do something with this. So I wrote the backstory to it. So the battle actually happens at the end of book 1.
Okay.
How did we get to that place is what I did. So, and it's very Star Trekky. It also has a couple of young characters in it. And the interesting thing about these characters is that they're from the planet Theos.
Mm-hmm.
And on Theos, 16 is adult. So Joshua, who is the main character, he has he's a scientific phenom. His parents were scientists, and they were killed in an explosion. But before that happened, he very much believed in their beliefs. They were really big on, we can live in harmony with
the
Earth.
Earthlings. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody else believed that was true, because they would monitor us and see that we can't even get along with each other. So let alone, so they very much believed in it. So he adopted that belief. And that's why he decided to steal a craft and go to Earth. And his goal was to live sort of undercover, harmony with Earthlings, and then you get all kinds of fun things like his ex-girlfriend, who is absolutely totally different than him. She's a troublemaker, and she's ornery.
Her name's
And
Manny, right?
yeah, Manny. I have no idea
Manny.
where that name came from. It just, I think that
It's a
was
good name,
actually,
though.
actually, I think that name was in my dream, to be honest with you. Yeah, because Joshua's name wasn't in there. But she stows away and she goes with him. And of course, that was very unwanted. And
Mm-hmm.
so they go different directions. She wants to live as a teenager because, hey, I have no responsibilities. And he wants to live as an adult. So
Yeah, he's more serious.
he's more serious. She's more fun, fly by the seat of her pants. And he's very detailed and very calculated and so much that he has trouble acclimating, which I think is part of the humor in the book, is
Okay.
that he can't seem to catch on to dancing. It does it does deal with a couple of difficult subjects
Mm-hmm.
because he's so interested in science and he's so interested in what he's doing. He doesn't want to get involved with any females, and plus it was ingrained in him that you don't have relationships with earthlings. Of course he
Mm-hmm.
falls in love with one, but there is a period of time where people in his life think that he's homosexual because
Okay.
he's shocked. He's absolutely shocked by this, So the contrasts from what he grew up with on Theos and what he's encountering on Earth. So there's some real social issues that come
That are
into
dealt
play.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of relationship stuff like that. But I got a really good response to book 1, so book 2 and 3 had to happen.
Of course. Can you hold
Yeah,
up? Can you hold
yeah,
up book 1 for us?
yeah. This is book 1.
Okay. And I
Mhm.
see that award on there.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
So,
So, yeah.
so I'm going to transition to your latest book, and this is
Mhm.
a children's book. So your other books were like middle grade, young adult audiences, and this is a children's picture book. So I'm going to hold it up, and you tell us the title.
It's okay to have feelings, a Peyton's Palace adventure.
Okay. So tell us what's behind this book, why it was important to you to write this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, this is a passion project, Debbie.
Okay.
I've spent over 35 years. I've had the honor of working with so many people in my career as a
Mm-hmm.
therapist. I've worked with ages 5 to 85 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a real, to me, my job is not a job, it's a calling. It was
Mm.
something I was meant to do. And I believe in when someone comes for help, you do absolutely everything you can to try to help them. You put everything out
Mm-hmm.
in front of them. If they bite onto it and they work, that's great. You can't make them, but it's your job to give them every opportunity. So,
Yes.
um, and I've also been excited to also be like a clinical supervisor for young counselors. So I'm excited that
Okay.
I get to help mold the new ones coming out of
Next
college.
generation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, 10 years ago, Cleveland Clinic hired me to develop a curriculum for an intensive outpatient program. That intensive outpatient program had to be predominantly emotion management. That's what everyone
Mm.
comes with the struggles. They have different backstories and different experiences, and one might be more depressed than anxious, and one might be more anxious or depressed. But the whole thing is that they're having trouble managing their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So things happen for a reason, don't you think? So I was
Absolutely.
so I was hired to build this curriculum. It was September 2015, October 2015, which was already scheduled. Planned months in advance before I even knew about the position, was my first training in what's called dialectical behavioral therapy. And it literally changed my life as a therapist. I
Okay.
realized at that point that there was this, all therapies are good, don't get me wrong, but I realized at that point that if you don't have actual skills, real
Mm.
skills that really work. And I don't mean just some deep breathing. I mean real, like, intellectual cognitive skills and behavioral skills. And these skills are very sophisticated. They're not skills that you would typically learn. If you don't have things that actually work, how are you ever going to long term maintain any progress?
Yeah.
So that is what it blew me away. I knew exactly at that moment that I had to develop this program, Heavy DBT. It's been there for 10 years and it's been very successful.
Mm.
At one point, it was during COVID, we crunched some numbers, and over 80% of all of the patients coming through would see either a 60% reduction or higher in
Wow.
symptoms. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, and I honestly, it was the type of therapy. It was the type of therapy. And we worked real hard to put it together in the best way to suit our patients' needs so that it had a progressive sort of nature. You start here and then you build to this and you build to this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it has changed not only a lot of people's lives, but mine as well. I
Mm.
use it every day. And in fact, I get very anxious even when I do these kind of interviews.
Oh,
But I use the skills. Um,
okay.
yeah, and they work. They actually work. And what I was telling you earlier when I said there was something that happened in my childhood that definitely shaped my direction of where I went in college.
Mm.
In junior high, I was hit really hard with what we didn't know then, but we know now, was social anxiety disorder.
Ah.
The symptoms were just debilitating.
Oh.
And my teacher, a teacher that I had at that time, I had 3 teachers. They were preparing you to go to high school, so they were having you move around a little bit. But one teacher made an amazing difference in my life. She
Mm.
was trying to figure out what was going on because I had done really well in school and I was doing fine and I was in cheerleading and and all of a sudden something's different.
Hmm.
And she really took the time to study what was going on. I didn't even know that she was doing this. And she met with my mom for a parent-teacher conference. The first 2 teachers had told my mom, Patty does not have what your other 2 kids have, and she will not go to college. In fact, she'll be lucky to make it through high school.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I'm not kidding you. Those words exactly. So she went to the 3rd teacher, whom she was a little bit friendly with, and she said, Roseanne, I know what you have to tell me. It's okay. And she goes, what do I have to tell you? And she told her, and that teacher said, that's baloney. She said, Patty is smart. She doesn't know it. And I think it's because she's anxious. I think she's having
Wow.
stress, some anxiety. So they put together that I wasn't anxious at home, but I was
Hmm.
anxious at school. So it became pretty obvious. So
Okay.
she fooled me. All of a sudden, the assignments were not on the board anymore. They were on little slips of paper and they were put on the corners of each of our desks.
Okay.
I just go along. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, whatever. So I look at what the assignment is and I do it. Well, here, what she was doing, Debbie, was that she was having me read the chapter and answer the questions at home where I was calm
Okay.
instead of we're going to
Up
open
on
our
the board.
books, starting this chapter with the class. Yeah. So when I came in, the chapter was already read. The questions were already answered. And
Uh,
she's going over the chapter and I'm thinking, oh, that's nice. She's reviewing it. I didn't know that this was not,
yeah.
they didn't have the same homework. And when it was like, does anybody know the answer to question 1? I'm looking around like, didn't anybody do their homework? And my hand didn't even get up to here. And she's like calling on me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Basically what she was proving to me was that I
Hmm.
do have intelligence. This does not have anything to do with intelligence.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
it really I was a little bit angry with her because I was like, you fooled me, like a teen would be. How dare you?
Yeah.
But when I realized the enormity of it, it was amazing. So,
What a gift to have a teacher that cares
oh,
that much.
oh my gosh, yes. And
Because
when I
that
got
took effort on her part.
oh, absolutely. Now it was a private school, much smaller classrooms. There was a whole 8 girls in my class,
But still, that
but she
took
took the
extra
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, she took the time, and the other ones had just given up on me. So,
Mm.
yeah. So long story short, when I went to college, got my first degree. I brought it back and showed her. And
Oh.
she said her exact words, I never doubted you for a minute.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I'm going on. So she knew I was going on. So that experience shaped me greatly, obviously. And it was highly genetic because my son went through it at the exact same age.
Okay.
So I know it's genetic. And so
Do you think there was a hormone component too, like
I believe
with the age you
adolescent.
were? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
going through puberty. But the thing though about it with, is that I think it also had to do with the pressures of that age, because
Mm-hmm.
when in our school, you were in the same school up to eighth grade. There was really
Uh,
no separate junior high, and then you're going to high school. So high school was the big jump, so
Huge.
that probably had something to do with it too. But, um, so that really made a big difference in my life as far as like what I chose to do in a
Yes.
career. So, getting back to the book, so what happened was I'm working with adults. It's an adult program. And as you can imagine, by the time they get to us, they're really struggling. Most of them aren't able to work. They're on leaves and they really need to figure this out. And so
Mm.
whenever the adults were coming through, and this is not a long program, Debbie, it's 4 to 6 weeks. That's
Okay.
how amazing these skills are. If you really chomp into these skills, they will change you. They'll change your life.
Okay.
And so when they were getting ready to leave, the adults started saying, why aren't we teaching this to our kids?
Mm.
And so I started taking that seriously and I thought, what can I do? How can I contribute to that?
So that was the seed
Hmm.
planted for the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 4
So
years in the making.
I was just
Mhm.
going to ask you, how long did it take you to bring that to fruition?
Yeah, because I had to really give it a lot of thought in terms of how do I take what we're doing with adults and put it in a child's level, because when I was working with children, I didn't do this type of therapy.
Okay.
So I had to really give it some thought, do some research, had to do some
Yeah.
really, a lot of research and get it exactly as I wanted it. And then I had to find the contract because I decided I wasn't going to self-publish this. This deserves to be more, I just wanted it to be out there more. And
Right.
so I figured a publisher would be able to help me get it out in the world a little bit
How long
more.
did it take then to get a contract?
It took about a year.
About a year. That's not
Yeah.
bad at all, though.
No, but I have on and some people when I tell them this story, they say, "Oh, it's who you know." I disagree with that. Part of it was because I did know her, but if it wouldn't have been something that she felt was good or that she felt she was, dedicated to, she would never have
Right.
taken it. But I had met her. I was asked to do an interactive workshop on character development in West Virginia at the West Virginia Young Writers Conference.
Mm-hmm.
These were all state winners. And
Okay.
so they were writers and they
Real
were,
writers.
yeah, grades 7 through 9. And they were just sponges. And so her table was right next and her daughter was doing the keynote. And she came over and she saw this book. I was actually in the workshop. And so my husband, you've met him, was at the table and
Yes.
she was tapping on this and she says, this is a big deal. And he doesn't know what to say. He's like, yeah, that was pretty cool that she got that. And she goes, no, you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. She says, I'm on the committee. This
Oh,
is, yeah,
wow.
she's a founder. She's a founder of
Oh,
the, mm-hmm.
how
So
amazing is that?
I know. So he's like, you got to talk to this lady. What she said about your book. And so
Yeah.
I talked with her and she invited me to go to the American Library Association conference with her authors. So I wasn't even one of her authors, and she invited me to go, which was a
Wow.
great experience. It was a
Mm-hmm.
fabulous experience. And from there, I started looking. I got help with writing query letter, because those are the worst things in the world, my opinion.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I got help with Reedsy on that and started sending it out. And I thought, well, do I send it to her or not? Because I don't want her to think I'm taking advantage, but yet this might be something she's interested in. She does children's books.
Mm-hmm.
So she was closed for submissions, and I thought, well, you can but ask. So I emailed and said, you want me to wait until next year? And she said, no, I want to see it now. And within 2 weeks, I had a contract. It's
That's
something that
awesome.
she's dedicated to it as well. Super cool.
Well, and like you said, people might think, well, it's who you know or whatever, but publishers aren't like that. If, it's bottom line, or like you said, if they're committed to that particular issue, so they're not just going to take anybody.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing.
I think part of it was that she got to see how I interacted with readers when I went with her authors. So we got to know each other a little bit. She got to see that I was very, this is, something that's very important to me, very near and dear to my heart. Like writing is not just, something that I think about one hour a week. No, this is something that I'm committed to it. Yeah. So, and I got to see that she was serious. So we really got to know each other. I just think it was, again, meant to be.
Yes, absolutely. And have you gotten any feedback yet from parents or children about the book?
Yes, there's a lot of people are coming up. That I was at. It was funny. We just had a garage sale, and a lady came up, and my husband's like, "Get those books, get them out there." And I'm like, "Okay." So I put them out there, and the lady walked up, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I have that book." And
You're
I said,
kidding.
"You do?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "A good friend of mine bought it for me." She says, "It's amazing. It's an amazing book."
And you told her you were the author?
Yeah, she's like, you're the I'm like, yeah, I am. And it was so cool. But a lot of our
I love it.
past patients have purchased the book. I don't tell them about it while they're in the program. I feel that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So once they're out of the program, then I can say, hey, by the way, check me out on this. And so they've purchased it, and a lot of good feedback. I'm getting into schools little by little. I'm getting into schools.
That'll be a huge audience for you.
Yeah.
And as a writer, I think about Charles Dickens and the impact he had on his culture through his books and things that were changed in his culture that were wrong and were bad, as far as like the poorhouse. Even the legal system through Bleak House was changed because of his writing. So for you as an author writing this children's book, to know what an impact it's had on children and their parents, that has to be so rewarding.
It's extremely rewarding. Like I'll do literacy evenings when I may want to walk out without making a penny, and I don't care, because it's getting it out there. It's marketing. And then when you do literacy evenings, teachers are seeing it, and then they're talking to their schools and getting their boards like, hey, I would like to bring this person in for social emotional growth, for the children. I had another honor. The same person that asked me to do the interactive workshop, she also invited me to the West Virginia, it's a reading association conference. So teachers, librarians, all of that. And so when I went, I just had a table the first time. Well, the second time the book was coming out, so I put in a proposal and I was selected. So I got to do a presentation where I explained why the skills work, because we don't have time to get into it here, but there's the neural pathways in the brain and how it develops, and how it changes the neural pathways. And I think if teachers and people who are working with kids and loving kids can understand that it's learning the skills, but it's practicing it and having that daily practice, that way it stays where it's supposed to be. And then when they need it, it's right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
that kind of old idiom, practice makes perfect. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
and for the teachers to have those tools and understand, like with your presentation, the physiology of the brain and
Correct.
the neural pathways and how those are formed and how they can be healed and
Mhm.
create new ones. And
Right.
that's really valuable information.
And then
That's wonderful.
I provide lesson plans as well, because I think to
Oh, really?
myself, if I want them to practice with the kids, I need to tell them how.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I have lesson plans that they're 6 weeks, but there's ways you can adapt it to make it into 12 weeks.
Okay. That is really wonderful.
Thank
So,
you.
you mentioned that conference and teachers and librarians, and I'm sure just overall in general, those professions love you because of the audience you've written for. So, children, middle grade, young adult. So,
Mhm.
I'm curious, what drew you to that audience?
Well, as you asked me that question, I've just finished an adult novella.
So, you answer the next question. What are you currently working on?
Yeah. So with the
So,
children, with the
hitting the
children's
adults as
book,
well.
yeah, with the children's book, it was my passion in my work.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, Debbie, adults are coming and they have had these problems for years, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And the whole idea is, why aren't we catching it early? Like, if we
Mm-hmm.
can instill these skills early, think how we might not get into situations that we might be getting in, or that we're getting into now with our teens.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
maybe things won't get quite so bad if we have a head start.
Right.
So that's why the children's book. The cozy mysteries, I think the middle grade just fell in there because of the illustrations, the kids that I was working with. So the um, the mysteries, I have readers from middle grade all the way up into their 80s because they're cozies. But
Right.
I just think that I really think that middle grade is a time when you can lose a kid with books.
Mm,
And I
mm.
think if you have something intriguing and it has illustrations and it's short enough to keep their attention, then you might be able to hold on to them, to
That's a
readers,
really good point.
because
Yeah, because
everything's this.
yeah, and
Mhm.
and kids that age too, they know when you're talking down to them, and they also are at that point where they want to feel more like an adult. So that's a really good point you made, that
Right,
if you can engage them at that
right.
age, you can really hang on to them.
Hmm.
So you told us, you answered the next question, like I said, that I was going to ask, what are you currently working on? So you're working on an adult mystery novella,
Yeah,
and
it's just completed. Hmm.
it's set in Akron, correct?
Yep.
Akron,
Yep.
Ohio.
Yep. Hauer House.
I
Um,
love the Hauer House, so I'm so excited for
isn't
this
it
book.
beautiful?
Yeah.
So what I didn't share with you is, if I would have gone into anything else, it might have been architectural design. I absolutely love buildings and mansions. And when
Mm-hmm.
I look at buildings, I'm interested to see how they're divided up, and all that kind of stuff, and where do they fit the staircases in and all that. So I absolutely love
Mm-hmm.
mansions, castles, of course. I love castles.
Same here.
And yeah, so I like to visit as many different area, mansions and things as I can. And then when I went in to tour it, I was like, oh man, this has got to happen. This has got to
I know.
happen.
I
Yeah.
know.
So, and because there was a delay, it should have been out last year. Because there was a delay in Mysterious Five,
Mm.
I pulled that story out and I switched it up and I put a murder in it, and
Okay.
I made that into a novella. So I have the one that's set in Hauer House, that's a novella, but that another mystery set in Hauer House will be in Mysterious Five. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
So
and
both.
actually, while I was writing all this, there were some competitions came up for short stories and different anthologies and stuff. So I actually took that same setting, and so there's different versions of
Okay.
that in that setting, because it just impressed upon me so much. It's such a beautiful home and a beautiful
Well,
setting.
and historical homes to me are the perfect place for a mystery because there's so much
Mhm.
history there. And
Yeah.
just because of the history, there's that element of intrigue. So To me, it's the perfect setting.
I would agree. It's especially special to me because I went to Akron U. I
Uh,
walked past it. It was not in operation. It was boarded up when I was
oh,
at school. You could see cardboard
okay.
boxes in the windows and all that. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful building. What is going on with that building?
I didn't
Um,
realize it was closed up at a certain point.
yeah. And then my son goes to Akron U and he lives right across the street in Fur Hill Apartments. So I'm visiting him, looking at this mansion again, and I see that it's in operation. And I'm like, I am not missing out on it this time.
Nope.
It took some years till I had time to do it, but Mysterious Five. So Mysterious Five is the mystery collections that will also be out this year, and it
Okay.
will have a different version than the novella of Howard House Mystery, and it's also going to have a short story that's set in a castle called Hazelmore Castle. And the reason that is important to me is because we built a castle themed
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb and its
Yep.
name is Hazelmore Castle Suite. It was named after my mother. And
Oh,
yeah, and so I'm going to have that in a setting in the book as well. So
yeah. For our viewers, Hazelmore Suite. Give me the full name again. Hazelmore Castle and Suite.
Hazelmore Castle Suite. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Has its own Facebook page, so go check it out. It's an Airbnb, and
Yep.
I'm thinking I want to get there sometime. It's so beautifully decorated and such a wonderful setting.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's the only place in Amish country you'll find anything that's castle themed.
That looks like a castle, right? We writers have to be unique, right?
Yes, we do.
Even
We
when it
need
comes
every
to,
edge.
yeah, Airbnb.
Yeah.
So to kind of close out, I have,
Mhm.
one more question after this, but where can our viewers find your books?
So the mystery collections and the Joshua trilogy, they can be found on Amazon. You can order them on booksamillion.com,
Okay.
walmart.com, barnesandnoble.com. Um, the children's book, you can find that on Amazon. You can also find that at booklocker.com, or not booklocker, sorry, headlinebooks.com,
Okay.
because that's the publisher. You can also find my mysteries, actually the first volume, mystery for volume 1, and my 3 Joshuas, they're still at booklocker.com. That's the publisher I originally went through. So I've
Okay.
got one publisher, and then I got self-published, and then I've
Then
got
another.
children's and another publisher. Yeah.
Okay. So you've kind of done both routes, so that's interesting. Not
Yeah.
many people have done that. So where
Mhm.
can our viewers find you on social media so they can follow you and keep up with everything
Well,
that's coming out?
okay. So I'm mostly active on Facebook. So Patricia Miller, author, on Facebook. I do put a couple Instagrams on here and there, but I also have a website. It's P for Patricia, M for Miller, Writes, WRITES. And it's so it's pmwritescom at wordpress.com.
Okay.
Yep. So that's mainly where you're going to find me.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Um, so to close out, because we've talked so much about, that you write young adult and middle grade, and there's a huge audience, like you brought up, for adults that love to read
Yeah,
young adult and middle grade books. That's really become a thing. I've heard that
it
quite
is.
often.
It truly
But
is.
wh-
Hmm.
what would be your best advice to someone who wants to write for that particular audience? What's your best advice for them?
Right. I would say that the plots have to be character driven and they have to
Mm,
be emotionally driven. There has to
okay.
be angst. And I think this goes back to also the my counseling. Now, I will never, ever, ever, ever use a real person in a
Mm-hmm.
book. Never, never. But I think my study of people, I'm able to really watch a lot in people and pick up on a lot in people. And I
Definitely.
think that has led to the fact that all of my stories are character driven. So
Mm,
as much as people think this is silly, I know my characters before I even start it. I actually do like little biographies, little profiles, and I add to that because, of course, they grow and they develop in the story. So I add to that. But my writing is character driven. When I get blocked, all I got to do is look at my characters and think, well, what would each of them do or say in this situation? And it takes me to the next place.
That's really good advice to do the biographies of your characters. So like you said, if you do get stuck, you can kind of put yourself in their head, how they would think about things.
Yeah, I really know my characters really, really well. And I think that just helps us write. And with regards to young adults, their life is relationship driven, their life is emotional driven. And they're dealing, especially young adult, they're dealing with that between time where I'm told I'm adult, but I'm still learning stuff. And so I think that angst and those they have things that they're good at, that they've learned and they know about themselves, but they're still learning. So that combination, there's a lot of conflict there internally. So I think that's the best thing I would say. Plus, there's one more thing I would say. You have to put in your books what is in their life. And in their life is real relationships. They're grappling with intimacy. These things are actually happening. And when I was writing Joshua, I was in a critique group that was online. And I actually ended up leaving it and going to a different one because people were having issues with the fact that I was having them deal with relationships. Now, there's nothing inappropriate or erotic or anything like that in my books, but they do have relationships, and that's young adults have relationships.
So you have to write for your audience.
It has to be real. It has to be real. Yeah, and you can't be lecturing. You can't be doing any of that. It has to be, they have to see themselves or their world in your book.
In your book, yeah. Their world has to be reflected in your book because they're not dealing with a midlife crisis, like somebody that's 40 or whatever. That would be completely irrelevant to them.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
Well, that is really great advice. And thank you so much for being willing to do the interview today. And I really hope that people will follow you on Facebook and Instagram, look up your website, buy your books, most importantly. And for our viewers, if you do love the books as authors, we would love if you would leave a review. That's something really important. And for those who are watching, if you like what you saw today in this interview, we'd just love it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can see more content like this. And Patricia, I'm so excited for your novella to come out, and hopefully people will follow you so they can be alerted to that and grab the book up when it comes out.
I really appreciate you doing this and spotlighting authors. This is really great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And, I've told other authors that have been on that, I'm just a little channel, but we're slowly building, and it was a dream of mine to write. So I just love showcasing other authors and just getting, news about other authors out into the world. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.